Early summer, 196 BC. Liu Bang personally led a grand army and defeated Chen Shi, the Chancellor of Zhao who had rebelled and declared independence. Upon returning to the Weiyang Palace in Chang'an, he learned of the death of Han Xin, the Marquis of Huaiyin. When Empress Lu and Chancellor Xiao He personally explained to him the details of Han Xin's rebellion, Liu Bang's expression was complex, filled with a mixture of grief and joy. He stood up, turned his back to everyone, and gazed alone at the Qinling Mountains outside the window. It took a long time before he accepted this fait accompli. He issued an edict stating that Chancellor Xiao He had acted with merit in suppressing the rebellion, promoting him to the position of Counselor-in-Chief, Xianggu, granting him an additional fief of 5,000 households, and assigning a commandant to lead 500 soldiers as the Counselor-in-Chief's guard. Prior to this, Xiao He already ranked first among the meritorious officials in terms of rewards, with a fief of 10,000 households, and had been granted the special privileges of wearing a sword and shoes while ascending the palace hall and entering the court without trotting. Colleagues came to congratulate him in an endless stream. Only a destitute former Marquis of the Qin Dynasty, upon seeing Xiao He, woke the dreamer with a single sentence. Calamity begins from this moment. The emperor is suppressing rebellions on the front lines, personally braving arrows and stones. You are far away in the rear, yet he sends you guards. Isn't this suspicion of you? Are these 500 guards here to protect you or to monitor you? Xiao He immediately followed his plan, returned all the rewards, and donated a portion of his private property to aid military expenses. Historical records state, the emperor was then greatly pleased. This was not the first time Xiao He had listened to advice and deliberately curried favor with Liu Bang. As early as the beginning of the Chu-Han contention, when Liu Bang led his army east out of Hangu Pass, Xiao He alone guarded Guanzhong. On one hand, it was precisely because of Xiao He's continuous supply of provisions and manpower that Liu Bang could maintain his front lines and recover amidst repeated defeats. But on the other hand, handing over the entire Guanzhong, Hanzhong, and Bashu regions to Xiao He alone, who could truly rest easy? Therefore, historical records here fully reflect Liu Bang's contradiction. He gave Xiao He a status akin to a prince-regent, unimaginable in later imperial systems, yet at the same time constantly sending messengers back to inquire after the chancellor. Someone with insight pointed out to Xiao He that this clearly meant Liu Bang was becoming suspicious of him. Consequently, Xiao He immediately sent every able-bodied male capable of fighting from his entire clan to Liu Bang's army. These were the Xiao family's hostages. Historical records state, the king of Han was greatly pleased. So much so that later, when rewarding meritorious officials, Liu Bang insisted on ranking Xiao He above Chao Shen, who bore over 70 battle wounds. One important reason was, you generals mostly followed me as individuals, at most with 2 or 3 family members. Xiao He, however, had dozens of people from his entire clan risking their lives for me. Can this compare?
Hello everyone, and welcome back to China Puzzle. This indeed cannot compare. Looking at the entirety of ancient Chinese history, ruler-minister relationships like that of Liu Bang and Xiao He, who knew and respected each other and ultimately met a good end, number only a very few, especially against the backdrop of the Great Purge in the early Han Dynasty. It is an even more rare and precious miracle. However, the birth of a miracle always stems from the coincidence of chance rather than inevitability. In reality, the bond between Xiao He and Liu Bang nearly shattered. Liu Bang was driven to the brink of madness, and Xiao He came within inches of being beheaded for treason.
Liu Bang's return to the capital this time was after he had personally led the army to defeat Chen Shi's main forces. His brother-in-law Fan Kuai, continuing to lead the Han army in pursuit of the rebel forces. Immediately after, Liu Bang enfeoffed his 4th son, the merely 8-year-old Liu Heng, as the new king of Dai. By this point, all the vassal states north of the Yellow River belonged to the Liu imperial clan. The king of Qi was Liu Bang's eldest son Liu Fei. The king of Zhao was Liu Bang's 3rd son Liu Ruyi. The king of Dai was Liu Heng. The only one remaining was the state of Yan, held by Lu Wan. However, considering that Lu Wan had been on good terms with the Liu family since their father's generation, was born on the same year, same month, and same day as Liu Bang, and had been repeatedly entrusted with heavy responsibilities throughout Liu Bang's uprising, in a certain sense, he might have been even closer to Liu Bang than Liu Bang's own second brother, Liu Shi. Adding in the king of Jing, Liu Jia, and the king of Chu, Liu Jiao, in the south, the vast majority of the world had already become the Liu family's world. Only 3 kings of different surnames remained: Peng Yue, the king of Liang; Yingbu, the king of Huainan; and Wu Chen, the king of Changsha. Among these 3, the one with the most unique status should be considered Peng Yue, the king of Liang. Among the various vassal kings of the early Han, his origins were the lowliest. Even Yingbu, who had his face tattooed as punishment for breaking the law, was the son-in-law of the magistrate of Po County during the Qin Dynasty, who was Wu Rui, the later first king of Changsha. Only Peng Yue is explicitly recorded in historical texts as having started as a bandit, gathering a crowd in the Jui Marsh. It was only after the world fell into chaos, when Liu Bang encountered Peng Yue while attacking Changyi, that the two combined their forces to jointly attack Changyi. Note that at this time, the two merely had a cooperative relationship. Therefore, when the attack on Changyi failed, the two parted ways. Peng Yue retreated into the Jui Marsh to rest and recover. Later on, after the Qin Dynasty perished and war broke out between Chu and Han, amidst such chaos, Liu Bang and Peng Yue established a cooperative relationship once again. Liu Bang gave Peng Yue the empty title of Chancellor of Wei and sent him to attack Xiang Yu's rear in the Liang and Chu regions. In this process, Peng Yue fully utilized his advantages as a bandit king, using elusive guerrilla tactics to repeatedly disrupt Xiang Yu's rear. But here arose the problem. Liu Bang was only the king of Han at the time. Did Peng Yue, the Chancellor of Wei, absolutely have to listen to him? Therefore, history books left a thought-provoking sentence. He occupied the Liang region, remaining neutral, acting both for Han and for Chu. Perhaps it was precisely this ambiguous, non-committal attitude that caused Xiang Yu not to pour all his strength into first exterminating this visceral threat, and also caused Liu Bang to have no choice but to send Lu Wan and Liu Jia to lead troops into the Chu heartland to open up a new second front, in addition to Peng Yue. In other words, Peng Yue indeed had merit with Liu Bang during the Chu-Han War, but he remained only a lukewarm ally. In summary, Peng Yue, the king of Liang, a commoner bandit with no foundation, was neither Liu Bang's kin nor old friend, nor was he one of the earliest subjects. From Liu Bang's perspective, he was merely an ally who had made great contributions, and this contribution had already been compensated by enfeoffing him as the king of Liang, perhaps even overcompensated. Historical records state that not long after Han Xin, the Marquis of Huayin, was killed, in the summer of 196 BC, the grand servant, Taipu, of the Liang state fled, arrived in Chang'an, and secretly reported to the imperial court, Peng Yue, the king of Liang, is plotting rebellion. The reason for the rebellion was that during Liu Bang's personal campaign against Chen Xi, he conscripted troops from the Liang state. However, Peng Yue claimed illness and only sent a general to lead the Liang army there. Liu Bang was furious and blamed him. Fearing execution, Peng Yue then plotted rebellion with his subordinates. This reason is truly far-fetched. More importantly, historical materials explicitly record Peng Yue indeed feared Liu Bang and prepared to go personally to apologize for his offense. His generals indeed advised him to raise troops and rebel, but Peng Yue did not listen. In the political purge of the early Han Dynasty, Peng Yue is the only unjust and false case explicitly recorded in history books. But this did not affect the outcome. Liu Bang sent a team of elite cavalry posing as an envoy mission to the Liang state. Peng Yue, who had no intention of rebelling in the first place, was arrested amidst his carelessness. Perhaps because the interrogation indeed revealed no facts of rebellion, or perhaps Liu Bang still retained some kindness. In short, Peng Yue was merely stripped of his titles to become a commoner and exiled to Sichuan.
But Peng Yue did not make it to Sichuan. He met Empress Lu halfway and pleaded with her. Empress Lu agreed to his request, but behind the scenes she added fuel to the fire and laid a murderous hand on him. In the end, Peng Yue was killed. Exterminate Yue's clan, abolish the state.
Empress Lu not only pushed for Peng Yue's execution, but went a step further by having his flesh minced into meat paste and distributed to the various vassal kings. Undoubtedly, it severely challenged the psychological limits of all the vassal kings. When the messenger delivered the box containing the meat paste to Yingbu, the king of Huainan, he had just returned from hunting with his men. The records state he was greatly terrified. What did Yingbu fear? The answer was all too obvious. Among the 3 kings of different surnames enfeoffed for military merit, he was the last one left. Yingbu decided he could not sit and wait for death. He began secretly mobilizing troops, stockpiling provisions, and accumulating strength in the border commanderies, preparing to actually launch a rebellion. Once again, a subordinate of the king of Huainan betrayed Yingbu due to a personal grudge. He fled to the imperial court and reported that the king of Huainan was preparing to rebel. The historical records here are very interesting. The king of Yan, the king of Chu, the king of Zhao, the king of Liang, the chancellor of Zhao, with so many people rebelling, the court seemed unsurprised. Yet, when it came to a powerful figure like Yingbu, the entire court believed Bu should not have done this. Perhaps hatred and grudges have falsely accused him. When the vassal king most likely and most capable of rebelling actually did so, neither Liu Bang nor Xiao He dared or wanted to believe it. So, why were you so certain and even preemptive before? But Yingbu, a hero of his time, soon dispelled everyone's doubts. Knowing he had been reported, Yingbu swiftly raised troops and launched a lightning raid on the neighboring state of Jing. Liu Jia, the king of Jing, was also a general capable of fighting his way through the Chu-Han War, but facing Yingbu's offensive, he was defeated and killed, and the state of Jing was destroyed. Yingbu then swept up the surrendered Jing troops and charged toward the state of Chu. Liu Jiao, the king of Chu, sent 3 armies to meet the attack. 1 was destroyed, 2 routed, and the state of Chu was crippled. In a very short time, Yingbu occupied vast territories south of the Huai River, even surpassing Peng Yue at his peak. This hero, perhaps the only one of that era who could wrestle on the battlefield with Xiang Yu, Liu Bang, and Han Xin, displayed terrifying dominance. He told his subordinates, "The Emperor Liu Bang is old and weary of war. He definitely will not lead troops personally to fight me. The only ones I worried about were Han Xin and Peng Yue, but they are both dead. The rest are not worth fearing." Facts proved Yingbu's judgment correct. He was perhaps the most likely rebel among all the vassal kings Liu Bang had envisioned, and Liu Bang had made some specific arrangements. But when this day truly arrived, Liu Bang was still shaken. At this time, Liu Bang was over 60 years old. More than a decade of military life had left him physically and mentally exhausted. Yingbu's rebellion was a huge blow to him. He was old and even sicker, to the point where riding a horse was difficult. Therefore, he made a decision. The Crown Prince would lead the campaign. History does not record Liu Bang's true thoughts, but the fact is, the struggle over succession between Crown Prince Liu Ying and Liu Ruyi, the king of Zhao, had reached a fever pitch. Empress Lu's faction, after close consultation, firmly believed that the Crown Prince absolutely could not leave the capital, let alone face a terrifying opponent like Yingbu. The result would be either death in battle or being stripped of the Crown Prince position after a defeat. Therefore, Empress Lu's faction did their utmost to stop Liu Bang's initial intention. If the Crown Prince didn't go, who would? "Though your majesty is ill, you can be carried in a covered carriage, lying down to supervise. The generals would not dare not do their best. Though it is hard for your majesty, force yourself for the sake of your wife and children." When Empress Lu said these words to Liu Bang, we believe Liu Bang's heart must have been chilled to the bone. Yet he was powerless to refute. Looking across the realm, indeed only he himself had a chance of defeating Yingbu. Thus, the old and sick Liu Bang set out on campaign. As he was about to leave the capital, Zhang Liang, whom he valued most, came to see him off despite his own illness. Liu Bang fully expected Zhang Liang to offer another brilliant strategy to turn the tide, but Zhang Liang only said, "You are leading troops away from the capital. Please appoint the Crown Prince as general to supervise the military forces of the entire Guangdong region." With mixed feelings, Liu Bang agreed and appointed Zhang Liang as the junior tutor to assist the Crown Prince. He seemed to have sensed that behind him a massive, invisible net was tightening, and he was powerless to resist.
Perhaps it was precisely under the combined influence of so much helplessness and resentment that when Liu Bang met Yingbu on the battlefield, he asked that question, "Why must you rebel? Indeed, why do you all oppose me? Why do you all want to destroy the magnificent enterprise I founded?" Yingbu replied coldly, "Of course, because I also want to be the emperor."
The battle with Yingbu once again demonstrated Liu Bang's genius military capability. He definitely couldn't beat Xiang Yu, and he might not have beaten Han Xin, but apart from these two, no one else in the world could defeat Liu Bang on the battlefield. Yingbu was no exception. After several major battles, Yingbu's entire army collapsed. He fled into the Changsha state with a few hundred men, hoping to seek refuge with his brother-in-law, Wu Chen, the king of Changsha. As the weakest among the vassal kings of different surnames, how could the Changsha state have the strength and courage to hide Yingbu? Persuaded by his subjects, Wu Chen pretended to take Yingbu in, then assassinated him on the way. Yingbu died, and the Huainan kingdom was transferred to Liu Bang's seventh son, Liu Zhang. Wu Chen also preserved his own fiefdom. This weak and insignificant Changsha state was even passed down for 5 generations, lasting nearly 50 years before being abolished. Yingbu was dead, and news came from the north that Fan Kuai's general had beheaded Chen Shi. The world seemed finally at peace. As soon as he arrived in Chang'an, countless letters of complaint flew in like snowflakes, and even commoners blocked Liu Bang's carriage to petition. There was only one theme. Counselor-in-Chief Xiao He had been forcibly buying people's fields in Guangdong at low prices. Public anger was boiling, and they asked the emperor to punish him. When Xiao He personally came to welcome Liu Bang laughed heartily, showed Xiao He all these letters of petition, and then said, "Counselor-in-Chief, you are truly doing great deeds for the common people." This was the 3rd time Xiao He had soiled himself in front of Liu Bang. As the empire's de facto highest administrative official, he had keenly sensed the extremely tense atmosphere in the court. Therefore, while Liu Bang was attacking Yingbu, he once again heeded advice and sought safety by committing minor crimes like corruption, bribery, and plundering people's wealth. Sure enough, once again, the emperor was then greatly pleased. Perhaps Liu Bang seemed to be in a genuinely good mood, or perhaps the usually cautious Xiao He had a momentary lapse in judgment. At this critical juncture, he actually continued to submit a memorial, petitioning on behalf of the people. "The city of Chang'an is cramped. I see that many areas in the Shanglin Imperial Park are currently empty. Why not clear these areas for the common people to cultivate as farmland?" For the highest administrative official to plan for the common people down to such minute details, he indeed deserved the title of a virtuous minister for the ages. And what was Liu Bang's reaction? Liu Bang flew into a rage. "How much money did you take from the merchants? You dare touch my Shanglin Park?" He then ordered Xiao He to be thrown into prison and shackled. This was simply no different from the mad kings and tyrants in history books. Fortunately, there were still those who dared to risk death to admonish him. A minister asked Liu Bang what great crime Xiao He had committed to be treated so roughly. Liu Bang said, "What should a chancellor do? All the good should be attributed to the emperor, and all the blame should be kept for himself. Xiao He petitioning for the people like this is currying favor with the common people. Is this a very twisted political logic? Yet it is not surprising. A monarch over 60, frail and sickly, did not see a chancellor loyal to the country, loyal to himself. He saw a partner with a deep background, just like himself. He saw an executive CEO who controlled all the administrative lifelines of the world. To guard against him, Liu Bang had even deliberately provoked conflicts between Xiao Shen, the leader of the military merit faction, and Xiao He, these two former colleagues from Pei County, during the enfeoffment process. But besides Cao Shen, there were Lu Wan, Zhou Bo, Wang Ling, and Fan Kuai. If trouble arose in the world, would they choose him or choose Xiao He? Liu Bang in his prime would not think this way because he felt he was omnipotent. Liu Bang in his declining old age would definitely think this way because he knew his days were numbered. Already bordering on madness, he no longer knew who his enemies were, where they were, or what they wanted to do. The minister remonstrated with Liu Bang. How could the counselor-in-chief rebel? When you led troops to fight Xiang Yu, Chen Shi, and Ying Bu, and left him to guard Guanzhong, he didn't rebel. Now that you've returned victorious, he thinks of rebelling. He thinks of planning for himself. Liu Bang's remaining rationality finally overcame his fear of the future. That same day, he issued an edict to release Xiao He. The cautious Xiao He went barefoot to the palace hall to thank the emperor. Liu Bang said, "I did this only to prove to the world that I am a muddled ruler, while you, counselor-in-chief, are the virtuous minister." Behind this explanation, which bordered on acting out of spite, lay nothing but helplessness. There is a small historical detail that many overlook. Historical records do not state how long Xiao Hu was imprisoned this time, nor do they record whether he was dismissed or demoted after Liu Bang released him. But history explicitly records another item. Just at this time, Liu Bang's brother-in-law, Fan Kuai, was temporarily appointed to counselor-in-chief of the Han Empire.
Why would a valiant general who led charges be appointed as the administrative head? Because Liu Bang needed Fan Kuai to replace him and lead a grand army to suppress a rebellion, so he had to give him a status below one person and above all. So where was the rebel army that Fan Kuai needed to suppress?
During Fan Kuai's pursuit of the remnants of Chen Shi's rebel army, a deputy general of Chen Shi was captured. He secretly informed the court that Lu Wan, the king of Yan, had made a private agreement with Chen Shi to deliberately delay the war, intending to maintain the enemy's presence to enhance his own importance, and furthermore that he had connections with the Xiongnu and the son of the fugitive former king of Yan, Zhang Tu. Regarding this childhood friend born on the same year, same month, and same day as himself planning a rebellion, Liu Bang certainly dared not believe it easily. He ordered Lu Wan to be summoned to the capital. But Lu Wan claimed illness and did not come. This was simply a rerun of all previous rebellion cases. Even so, Liu Bang still did not believe it. He sent high officials to the state of Yan to welcome Lu Wan while investigating whether Lu Wan was rebelling. Lu Wan once again refused to enter the capital. He said to his attendants, "In the world, only the king of Changsha and I do not bear the surname Liu. Now the emperor is critically ill. The deaths of Han Xin and Peng Yue were all Empress Lu's doing. I cannot go back. If I go back, I will certainly be killed by Empress Lu." But unfortunately, the high official sent to investigate Lu Wan happened to be a favorite of Empress Lu. Upon returning to the capital, he told Liu Bang that Lu Wan would definitely rebel. Even then, Liu Bang still did not believe it. But shortly after, Xiongnu people captured at the border also confirmed that Lu Wan, the king of Yan, had indeed sent people to liaise with the Xiongnu. The evidence was conclusive and irrefutable. Historical records state, the emperor said, Lu Wan has indeed rebelled. The historical texts, usually sparing with words, do not record Liu Bang's state of mind at this moment, but we can fully appreciate his despair, his heart-wrenching pain, and his unwillingness to accept it. The surrendered generals he subdued rebelled, his former allies rebelled, his comrades rebelled, even his childhood friend, the person born on the same year, same month, and same day, who was as close as a brother. Had he also rebelled? Liu Bang did not want to accept this fact, but he had to respond. He was already terminally ill, and during the campaign against Ying Bu, he was wounded by an arrow again, which further aggravated his condition. He did not even have the possibility of lying in a carriage to lead the campaign personally. He looked around the court and the country. He could only choose Fan Kuai. Fan Kuai might not be equal to Guan Ying, Zhou Bo, or Chai Wu, but he was his brother-in-law, a fellow villager who fought alongside him all the way from Pei County, and the valiant general who saved him at the feast at Hong Gate. Who else could he choose but him? Thus, in the second month of 195 BC, Fan Kuai led the grand army out on campaign. Remaining in the Changle Palace, Liu Bang grew weaker day by day. A famous doctor diagnosed him and wanted to administer medicine to save him. Liu Bang, however, abused him, saying, "I, a commoner, took the world wielding a 3-foot sword. Is this not the mandate of heaven? Life lies with heaven. Even the legendary doctor would be of no use." He heavily rewarded the doctor and then resigned himself to fate. What was he waiting for? Was he waiting for Fan Kuai to return with Lu Wan's head to report the completion of the mission? Or was he waiting for Fan Kuai to clear Lu Wan of the false charges? But he did not wait to see it. When Fan Kuai attacked the state of Yan, he advanced with irresistible force. Lu Wan, who perhaps never intended to truly rebel, suffered a crushing defeat. In the end, he took a few thousand cavalry and his wife and children and ran to the edge of the Great Wall. But he did not leave the territory of the Han Empire, nor did he enter Xiongnu territory yet. He said he was waiting for Liu Bang to recover from his illness so he could personally go to Chang'an to explain and apologize. But he did not wait to see that either. What they waited for was another secret report. At the end of the 3rd month, someone informed against Fan Kuai to Liu Bang, saying that Fan Kuai had already made preparations to dispatch troops to slaughter Lady Qi and the king of Zhao, Liu Ruyi, who were contending for power with Empress Lu as soon as Liu Bang died. Liu Bang was furious. He immediately dispatched Chen Ping and Zhou Bo to rush day and night to the army in Yan. He wanted Zhou Bo to replace Fan Kuai in command of the army, and he wanted Chen Ping to immediately behead Fan Kuai, this traitor. Chen Ping did not execute Liu Bang's decree. He let Zhou Bo take over the army and then brought Fan Kuai back to the capital. While they were still on the way, the news arrived. On June 1st, 195 BC, Emperor Gaozu of Han, Liu Bang, passed away in the Changle Palace. Chen Ping and Fan Kuai both breathed a sigh of relief. They spurred their horses and traveled day and night to rush back to Chang'an to meet Empress Lu.
On his way back from defeating Yingbu, Liu Bang made a special trip to Pei County. He drank and made merry with the elders of his hometown, staying for over 10 days. This should have been one of the few wonderful times in Liu Bang's later years. At the banquet in Pei County, seized by a sudden impulse, Liu Bang personally played the zhu and sang a poem he composed on the spot. This poem has only 3 lines, yet it has been sung for over 2,000 years. Perhaps at this moment, this was Liu Bang's truest inner voice.
安的梦是心，手